right, guys, this is a video that we've never been able to do. It's a resource guarding video, mainly because it's unsafe, and the dogs that I work with are also very, very, very unsafe to work with during the resource guarding process. But this is a perfect opportunity for you guys to learn how to stop resource guarding at home right now, today. So let's go into the dog's history a little bit so you know why this dog has resource guarding in the first place.
I got her in middle of September. She was about 10 pounds, extremely malnourished.
10 pounds?
Yes, and she's 26 now. They said that she was like abused and then left to die on an ant pile. So she had all of her fur was eaten by fire ants. That's what they think kept her alive, just because of the pain of getting eaten by them.
Oh my God. That's insane.
Yes. I have no idea if I'm assuming she was tied to something, if she was still living on a fire ant by choice. And so she loves
at her.
She loves to chase garbage because of it, because she would try to catch anything that flies by. So she loves when it's very windy.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what's interesting is I always tell people the resilience dogs have is actually pretty phenomenal. Like the fact that likely a person abused her that bad, like the most abusive thing you could really think of, unfortunately. And she's still like this. Resource guarding is when a dog finds something extremely valuable and they guard it. Sometimes they will try to they're trying to eat the thing. Sometimes they will try to just possess the thing and let nobody else have it. Sometimes it's people, sometimes it's bones, sometimes it's toys, sometimes it's food. It could be many things, but whatever the dog finds valuable is potentially something they could resource guard. This is kind of just a test to see what she would do. So what do we want to do with a dog who has resource guarding? We want them to drop what they have. So some of the first skill sets that I teach a dog in most cases is the drop or the leave it command. Hey, whatever you have, you can't have. So I put a leash on the dog so they can't run off with the thing that they can possess. So if they can run off with it, like I said before, there's a good chance that the resource guarding, now they have all of the leverage. Now you're vulnerable because you have to go in there and try to figure out a way to work on this. So I usually work on leave it prior to actually going into the context in which the dog is guarding. We're gonna tell her to leave it. If she doesn't leave it, we're gonna just use a little bit of leash pressure, and then we're gonna offer her the food. Because right now she's like, I'm not leaving this thing, are you nuts?
Yeah.
I was starved to death. This is great. Rosie, leave it. Leave it. Yes, good, leave it. We're gonna try it again. We have to teach her with resource guarding that if she lets go of the thing that she thinks she has to resource guard, she actually gets paid with something either equal or greater. Now it's important to know she's also a 10-month-old, very juvenile, very small, malnourished dog. I feel comfortable doing this because I don't think she's gonna try to kill me. Yeah. So it's important, just for context for people who are watching, that this is something that I feel comfortable doing with this dog because she's not a dog that could harm me like other big, mature, very serious dogs could, right? She's a very, very sweet dog. Now, when we're dealing and when you guys are working with a dog at home that is very not so nice and has a tendency to mainly be aggressive towards a lot of people and has resource guarding issue and is adult and is very big and powerful, all the things completely change. But the things that we're gonna go over in this video and the principles and the routines and the exercises will be applicable to all the dogs. I just would wanna point out that you really have to be careful when you're doing this. So the proximity and where you're handling this dog is going to change depending on the dog. You wanna distance yourself, put a barrier up, put a crate up in front of you, put the dog into a crate, do everything you can to keep yourself safe if you are working with an adult dog that can overpower you, or a dog that definitely has a bite history, or a dog that has a history of being aggressive in the first place. Oh, good girl. Mosey, leave it. Yes, good, leave it. Good, leave it. So now we're gonna take it a step further. Good, leave it. I'm not gonna give her the lick mat or the lick ball until I give her a break. So now I'm controlling the space with obedience. And it's just good, it's healthy control for her. Leave it. Yes. All right, so we're just gonna release her back to it. Mosey, leave it. Good, leave it. Okay, free. All you're doing with resource guarding, if it's safe enough, is just saying, I know what you want, you can't have it until I release you. And sometimes you never get it because it's a dead rat. Yeah. And other times you do. But at the end of the day, you need to be able to monitor and tell her when she can and can't have it. The timing is very important. You have to pay her on time. Okay. Because if you don't pay her on time, she's gonna be like, she's very, yeah. Yeah, so you can just eat those crumbs there.
Mosey, leave it.
Yes.
Good girl, yes.
Good, there you go.
Do you want me to put the e-collar on her?
Yeah, let's try that.
Okay.
Because the goal would be to be able to correct her like we did earlier, but from outside of the crate, you know?
Yeah.
Do you have, here, let me see.
Yep.
I just want to,
There you go.
cool. So we're gonna use the pager and I just wanna see how she responds to it. That was good. Just see if you can get it again. So I'm gonna use the pager each time. Leave it. Good, leave it. Leave it. Good. Leave it. Man. Leave it. Do you have your treats? This would actually be good to do a leave it off of this with the crate. Lizzie, leave it. Yes, good, leave it. Good job. So peanut butter stuffed Kong with the leave it. So it could be just also, when we worked on leave it earlier, it's actually being applied and she understands it too, which is, I mean, it could be a mixture of things. But the goal is for you to have actionable plan moving forward. It's so you're not stuck in the dark of like, what do I do?
Leave it.
Good. So let me see. Leave it, leave it.
You want her to really leave it?
Leave, good. Cause right now, and I was doing it too. You're telling her to leave it.
But still letting her have it.
So you were doing leave it, like don't growl at me, but not leave that.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's make it like,
all in
leave
one.
it. Good, leave it, yeah.
Okay.
Right. So we're just replacing this with this.
Okay.
Because you're not always gonna have this.
Yeah. Mosey, leave it. Yes. Good, leave it.
So it's important when you guys are doing any type of resource guarding stuff that you're really careful about it. Mosey's a perfect dog to do this too because she has such a sweet demeanor and her resource guarding is actually pretty short-lived. But everything that you've seen in this video is actually applicable to outside of getting as close as we did up front, you know, right on top of her. You wouldn't want to do that. You'd want to keep a barrier or even do it in the crate. But it's important to have the skill sets to then apply to the resource guarding. So what we did with her is we taught her leave it outside of obtaining something, right? We did it with food, we did it with that, and then we applied it in reality in the crate. And then also too, like having good skill sets like recall, leave it, place. So if we wanted to do it here, we'll just put it into a sequence. Mosey, leave it, good, leave it, come, good, come. Now we're pulling her away, and now she's away from the thing. Break. All right, so now we're gonna do a final test. This is something that you guys can do at home if you have a resource guarding dog pretty safely as long as they're not redirective. This is a non-confrontational way to do this because you're not putting the dog like in a situation where they have the lick ball or a Kong or something that they're possessing. The leave it is, again, what we're gonna be utilizing in this. So again, trying to not fight a dog who has resource guarding issues to get it away from them. We're gonna be working on the skill sets to actually tell them to stop doing what they're doing, like a leave it. Once they have something, we need something that has utility to say, like instead of just saying, I just want my dog not to do this. It's like, okay, well, they're a dog, they're primarily doing it instinctually. Nobody taught them how to do it, which chances are it's not gonna go completely away. You have to be able to teach your dog some sort of skill sets to counter what they're doing. So we're gonna use the leave it. All you're gonna do is get a bowl, you're gonna get some treats, you're gonna put some treats on the ground, and you're gonna use it as a little course to walk through and work on your leave it.
Was he with me? Leave it.
All right, so hold up, good. Go slower towards this and do almost what we did before too if you need to, where you can just stand here too and just wait for her to basically say, okay, I can't have this.
Okay.
I think the faster you go, it's gonna be a little bit harder.
Okay.
All right, so we'll work through this. Good, leave it, just like this. Leave it, good. So more like this.
Okay.
Yes, good, leave it. So that's part of resource guarding rehab. Leave it, yes. It's there, and you need to control your instinct to leave it.
Claim it.
Yeah, good. And it's gonna be a consistent thing in the beginning to enforce your leave it until she really, because right now she's like, but why? it's right there. Like, it's really hard for her. So as you guys can see, Mosey is doing much, much, much better, if not almost completely better. But it's important to understand that a dog who has a tendency and a history to have resource guarding, it's not just gonna go away. It's not gonna poof and be gone. It could be gone over a certain period of time, but it's not something that's just gonna go away. This is something that you're trying to tell a dog, they're like, this is mine, if I don't have it, I will die. And you're trying to basically say, well, you can't have that anymore. That is very difficult for a dog to, but there's also cases of dogs that are just like, well, I want a sock and I want to chew it, don't take it from me. There's this unreasonable thing that dogs have too. But in this case, Mosley has been abused, she's been abandoned, she's had to fight for her life, for food. And so this makes sense. So just understand that you're not out of the woodwork like Mosley is. Like right now, like this dog definitely understands leave it. She respects leave it. We're using positive reinforcement. We're also using equipment to help balance these things out and to make it applicable. Like the most important thing I think out of all of this is making sure that you're making progress with the dog. And so again, we use the remote collar pager because when the dog is in the crate, like the video that you saw in the video, in this video, the video that you saw in the video, the dog is lunging outside of the crate, hitting the crate and being aggressive that way. How are you going to correct a dog that you can't touch? The remote collar is the only thing in the world that allows you to hold a dog accountable with that context. And so we use that, we use positive reinforcement, and we accumulated all these exercises and things in order to really see the results that we have. If you guys have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. I usually answer all I can, but also just please be safe. This is a video we haven't put out for a very good reason because it could be dangerous. I would highly suggest, in conjunction with this video, working with a professional trainer that has experience with resource guarding. But at least this is a video that I'm able to put out to reference to people. If you want to start, you can. I also have a couple episodes on the No Bad Dogs podcast on resource guarding specifically that will leave right here the numbers of the podcast that you can listen to. So I hope that this was helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and please be safe and happy training, guys, and we'll talk to you next time. Peace.